Gen Z is set to be the loneliest generation ever, with 72% of Gen Z having reported feeling lonely. This is a generation of rapidly declining marriage rates and ultimately a generation that has become chronically single. There are many causes for this, which is why I want to break this down into 3 parts. First, let's watch this viral blind dating clip.
Okay, I'm Riley. I'm 24. I'm from Houston, Texas. And honestly, I'm down for any good adventure. I just got scuba dive certified and I'm planning to go to Australia this summer, so I'm super excited about that. And then I just picked up skiing like 2 years ago, and I honestly love any themed party. Like, those are like my favorite things to go to, my favorite things to plan. And I'm looking for someone that wants to be my adventure buddy, and it's someone that I can trust in and is gonna be there for me.
Aww. If any gentleman would like to get to know Riley more, please step forward.
They're nervous.
They're scared.
Anyone. Come on.
Hey Riley, we're gonna have you sit down, but thank you for introducing yourself.
This clip, in my opinion, really sums up what exactly is going on here with Gen Z's expectations. Here you have a girl who's obviously adventurous, she likes to travel, she's obviously very independent. The guy straight up rejected her and didn't want to pick her. This post now has tens of millions of views on Twitter, and of course the internet has a lot of controversial takes, if not hot takes out there. So with all this said, this brings us to our first point. Social media has created an incredibly unrealistic expectation for all genders. And we all know it's because of those damn phones, right? Well, it kind of is because of those phones in a way. When Gen Z is constantly online seeing pictures, posts, or videos of their gender that they're attracted to, they inherently create a certain image in their head of who they want to pursue. But here's the problem. It's no secret that social media creates false appearances of people. In reality, people don't really look like this. For women, finding a 6'5" man with incredible style likely won't be that easy. For men, finding that super hot goth gamer girl that they're wanting to pursue really isn't that common. The point is that there's a continuous flood of content that we consume that creates unrealistic expectations in our heads. This has definitely happened to Gen Z. I think the consequences kind of happened to Riley here. Riley is a totally normal girl. There are a bunch of Rileys out there. These guys seem to have a certain type of voice or demeanor in their head of the ideal partner. Riley did not fit that persona. Remember in that video, there was a curtain in which people couldn't see who was talking on the other side. So they only judged Riley based on her interests, her voice, and I guess her demeanor. Now, this is a tale that's old as time. Certain behaviors and demeanors have always been attractive to people. But what makes all this so different nowadays is that we have social media, which has created very unique personalities for people, which I don't think is a bad thing. Well, at the same time, a lot of people are idolizing only a small particular number of those personalities. Those small number of personalities aren't most people. And I think part of it is that we've also created this very unrealistic and toxic relationship with influencers, where many people are led to believe that these people are normal. And the example for men, they might follow certain women influencers who appear on platforms like Twitch, Instagram. They got all the makeup on and they're talking a certain way to attract their viewers. And a lot of times they might even have a lot of work done on their face or other areas, which obviously costs a lot of money and time. A major thing to note that this isn't most women. You're seeing these type of people at their absolute best on camera. Many times they're even using camera filters to make themselves look a lot better than they actually are. Bottom line, it's not real. It's a facade. Think The Wizard of Oz. Now, for women, when they see an ideal man, let's say a dating show like Love Island, he's charming, he's 6'5", fit, great fashion. Well, let's break this down. That dude probably goes to the gym like a few hours a day. Most people don't do that, nor do they have the time or money to even put that effort in. His diets are likely super expensive and take a lot of time. Well, Gen Z's broke, so that ain't happening. He's 6'5". Yeah, most people aren't even that height. They're not even 6 foot. And his fashion style, yeah, he probably had a very talented person with over 20 years of TV fashion experience help pick out that entire outfit for him. Plus TV shows, TikTok videos, they can all be edited out and scripted in a way that attracts certain type of people to that influencer. I think it's plain as day that social media has created a toxic dating scene for Gen Z, where they simply are left finding these fake type of people which they don't actually exist in the real world, our normal world, or non-celebrity world. And this isn't just about looks, it's also about lifestyles. Social media creates an endless highlight reel where everyone seems to be traveling the world, eating out at the coolest restaurants, or living in picture-perfect apartments or houses. There have even been instances where people will even reject a potential partner just based on the fact that they don't have enough followers, or maybe they don't even have a social media presence at all. But the reality for most Gen Z is student debt, long work hours, and the rising cost of living. When the lifestyles people want in their partner don't match the reality of what they actually can afford, it creates disappointment and disconnection. This, of course, leads us to our third point. There's been a massive shift in lifestyles among Gen Z men and Gen Z women. One of the major shifts that we're currently seeing is that young women are attending four-year universities at a much higher rate proportionally compared to young men. This is a trend that we've never seen in history before. While young women are progressing their economic aspirations, Gen Z men are being left out of the workforce at a rate that we've never seen before. To put this in perspective, women now make up nearly 60% of all college students in the US, while men have dropped just to 40%. This is the widest gender gap in higher education that has ever been recorded. This is a massive change just from a few decades ago, if not just a decade or two ago, when men made up a majority of college campuses. As women continue to earn more degrees and enter professional careers, men are falling behind, not just in education, but also in workforce participation. Labor force data now shows that men in their prime working years, so age around 25 to 54 years of age, are now participating in the workforce at the lowest rates ever recorded. This is a trend that a lot of economists are now calling the rise of the idle male. This imbalance is reshaping the entire dating landscape. Research now shows that women are more likely to want partners with equal or higher levels of education and financial stability. But with so many women outpacing men academically and professionally, the pool of qualified partners for women is shrinking. This mismatch has led to frustration on both sides. Women feel like there aren't enough men who meet their standards, while men are feeling increasingly excluded from traditional relationship milestones like marriage and family. It's no coincidence that adults under 30 are the most likely age group to be single, with roughly half, around 47%, falling into this category of singleness. Singleness has actually hit young men particularly hard, with 63% of young men aged around 18 to 29 being single. Now, researching this topic, you'll see a large amount of rage bait content out there pointing the finger at each other. In my opinion, I really don't think that solves the issue at hand, nor does it generate the necessary discussion that this issue needs. The change of education and lifestyles has also stemmed from another issue, and that one has to be polarization.
Break up with your Republican boyfriends. Ladies, I don't think you understand the amount of social capital that you hold. By continuing to date these Republican men or not political or didn't vote guys, you are inadvertently supporting this movement with one, your body and your affection, and two, not allowing these men, usually who I'm speaking on, men, to understand the consequences of their actions. They voted against you. They voted against your body. They voted against your rights. And here we are, I'm saying we because I used to be guilty of it too, supporting and getting into relationships with the people that hold these values deeply. Even if they say that they didn't vote or they're not into politics, there is no such thing anymore. Either you're about what's going on or you're vehemently against it. I just feel like I wish I could go back and tell 22-year-old me, like, it's not worth being in a relationship
feminism makes dating extremely hard. It is increasingly difficult to flirt with women nowadays. There's a large chance that you, as a man, will be #MeToo'd for simply pursuing a woman. The worst thing that could ever happen to dating is a woman interpreting a man pursuing her and thinking that she's beautiful as harassment.
Now, I really showed both of those videos to really highlight how different opinions people have when approaching dating. With many polarizing views, in my opinion, we make it incredibly difficult to connect as a society. For Gen Z who are chronically online, they're most likely to be exposed with this type of content. We're seeing politics divide our society in ways we've never seen in a very long time. Young women are increasingly going very left, while young men are increasingly going very right. Now, what you see here is you have two genders that have become just so divided on the political spectrum. This imbalance is reshaping the dating landscape. Research now shows that women are more likely to want partners with equal or higher levels of education and financial stability. And if you layer in politics, the divide only grows sharper. A 2024 poll found a 21-point gap between Gen Z men and Gen Z women and their approval of the current president, Trump, with 45% of men approving his presidency compared to just 24% of young women. This is the widest political gender gap that's ever been recorded among young people. This is far bigger than the 9-point gap seen among millennials. This kind of divergence has a real consequence for dating. This is how politics is starting to spill directly into the Gen Z loneliness epidemic, creating a mismatch that feeds both frustration and loneliness. Now, this leads us to our third point, the fear of rejection. The change in ideals even affects young men's confidence in making the first move. Traditionally, men have always made the first move. It's how many of us are here watching this video. If you go to places like Reddit or TikTok, you'll see so many people sharing that men are just too scared to ask women on dates. They're even scared to ask for their phone number. The change in ideals around dating doesn't just show up in politics or culture wars. It's visible in something as simple as who's making the first move. For decades, it was almost taken for granted that men were the ones to approach women, strike up that conversation, and ask for a date. But today, surveys, lived experiences, going on social media, it suggests that many young men are very hesitant. Studies show that around half of young men aged around 18 to 25 have never even approached a woman in person. And of course, men around that same age bracket, 62% of them have reported being single. It makes sense. If you're not making a move, then you're gonna be single, compared to just 30% of women around that age. This imbalance has fueled a whole online discussion from Reddit threads to TikTok videos, where countless young men are openly admitting that they're just too nervous to ask women out. Not just because of the Me Too fears or allegations or any of that, but just because the sting of rejection feels way too overwhelming. But the story goes deeper than just confidence. Fear of rejection has always been a part of dating. But in earlier generations, social structures helped ease that process. School, church, community events, people had a lot of friends, they had a lot of friend groups, all that stuff. This type of third place, it created a setting where men and women could interact with each other. It kind of built this mutual attraction before, making that first move. Today, it seems like Gen Z has even more isolated lifestyles than any other previous generation. The collapse of local communities and the rise of digital life has honestly made dating feel a lot more stiff. It's made it feel a lot more forced. I think that's something that Gen Z men have really been hurting. So yeah, for a lot of Gen Z men, the fear of rejection is just way too big of a risk for them to make the first move. And on top of that, there's this kind of weight of negative social currency. Young men today, young Gen Z men, are coming out of the age and the aftermath of cultural reckonings like feminism and the Me Too era. And these were shortcomings of past generations. This had absolutely nothing to do with Gen Z men. So there is some truth to this, that a lot of young men are just really scared to get in trouble. You know, they're scared to make a move in which will make them look bad or like a creep, which has made a lot of them not even go and approach women at the bar or other social events. So for some men, being rejected isn't just about being hurt, but it's also about negatively affecting their sort of image or their reputation. Now, if you go online, social media, it's like a toxic waste dump where you'll see a lot of young men go on these sort of forums. You know, they'll bash women, they'll share their experiences, all that. Some are valid, some aren't. But either way, it's really created this toxic sort of tribalistic narrative among young men. This manosphere echo chamber, in my opinion, has really had a negative effect on young men, because it really makes women not really want to pursue a relationship with them. So you have a really weird scenario right now where men are kind of expected to do that traditional role of asking the woman out on that first date, making the first move. But at the same time, there's also this sort of realization that society has changed a good bit, and approaching strangers and being very prompt about that isn't really appropriate in a lot of scenarios. So this is just a very messy and tricky situation. And then when you add dating apps to that equation, the problem only has gotten way worse. Those apps that were supposed to make dating a lot easier, but in reality, they've definitely created a hyper-competitive marketplace where a small percentage of men are actually getting the majority of those matches, while the average guy is struggling to get noticed. And this goes both ways. Women have struggled a great deal finding viable partners on these dating apps. Right now you see it's all men. Men are also suffering, men are this, but it's also women. So when you add these dating apps, it really makes men not really want to make that first move, because they've been rejected so much on these online platforms that they're not even going to bother with it. The gamification of online dating platforms definitely has a lot of bad side effects out there. Now, there are definitely a lot of great stories out there where people have met their partner. But at the same time, for the majority of people out there, these dating apps, they aren't really helping too many people. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Overall, this is a highly discussed topic with so many opinions out there. But one thing is for certain, Gen Z is lonely, and unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a unified solution out there. Well, guys, let me know what you think about the Gen Z loneliness epidemic in the comment section below. Is this something that you've personally experienced firsthand, or you've seen other people struggle with this? Let us know in the comment section. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out, and it shines a spotlight on topics like this. And like always, we'll be back with another video. Stay informed out there.